Alrighty guys, it is Qaaman here today and I'm bringing you another Dragon Ball Z segment on What If Goku Died on Planet Namek? And today's request is from two subscribers who are Eradicating Warlock and Damani Spears. So in today's video I will analyze two things: how Goku's death would affect the original timeline that led to the androids terrorizing the Earth, and how Goku's death would affect the main timeline as we know it. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into this video. So, let's first begin by talking about the original timeline that Future Trunks comes from, as I call the HOT timeline, which stands for the history of Trunks' timeline, in my timeline theory video that you guys can also check out in addition to this video. Either way, let's start off with the Namek arc. If Goku died in Namek's explosion, I'm sure that we can all agree that the Z Fighters would have wished Goku back with the Namekian Dragon Balls. Because of this, Goku would have returned to Earth rather early, and I don't think he would have chosen to stay dead considering the fact that Gohan's power wasn't higher than his at that point in time. Now, with everything held constant, Frieza would eventually come to Earth to get revenge. I already made a video explaining how Goku possibly fought against Frieza and King Cole, so you guys can check that video out in addition to this one as well in the description. Either way, assuming Goku always trains, he should be strong enough to defeat Frieza and King Cole, especially considering the fact that he got a Zenkai boost from the Namek battle plus some additional training that he would probably do on Earth. If Goku manages to defeat Frieza as I expect him to have, the rest of the events would play out extremely similar to the HOT timeline, if not exactly the same. The only major difference is that Goku would have never learned the instant transmission, but to be honest, in the original timeline, it honestly doesn't matter if Goku knew it or not. The reason for this is because in the original timeline, Goku only used his instant transmission to get to Earth out of desperation to stop Frieza and King Cole. He didn't do it in the main timeline, presumably because he noticed Trunks' Super Saiyan power, and he also noticed Frieza and King Cole being defeated along with King Cole's henchmen, so it made sense for him to just wait to arrive. That same Goku would then die of a heart virus years later, and the androids would then wreck the Earth in the exact same fashion, so honestly it really doesn't matter if Goku learned instant transmission from the Yardraths or not in the HOT timeline. But this concludes the original timeline's path if Goku died in Namek's explosion. All of the events would end up in the exact same way as the HOT timeline, with my assumption that Goku could beat Frieza and King Cole. It's possible that Goku could have been stronger if he died on Namek and came back, since he would have trained with stronger Z Fighters than the Yardraths. The only difference is that he wouldn't know instant transmission. And for those of you who are wondering why I didn't say anything about the Garlic Jr. arc, it's considered filler and it never happened in the manga. However, with Goku there on Earth, Garlic Jr.'s gang would have been defeated with ease considering the fact that Piccolo, Gohan, and Krillin managed to defeat them. Now, let's get into the main timeline. Let me just say that this one is much more complex than the original timeline. If Goku died in Planet Namek's explosion and was wished back, the same fight with Frieza and King Cole would take place once again, with my assumption of Goku being able to defeat them. If Future Trunks came to warn the Z Fighters of the android threat, it honestly doesn't matter exactly what time he showed up because Frieza and King Cole would be dead regardless. Trunks would warn Goku of the android threat and would leave Goku to train with the Z Fighters for 3 years. Assuming Goku caught the virus against Android 19 and 20, the android fight would take place in a very similar manner. Now, it all gets tricky when Cell arrives. Cell would encounter Piccolo and would fight him. He would then go into his second form. The big difference now takes place here. The first major time Goku used the instant transmission was to save Piccolo and Tien Shinhan. Without it, Goku would not have been able to save Piccolo and Tien, and here's why. Even though Goku was super fast and could fly there in a short amount of time, the instant transmission gave him that instant in and out maneuver where he could instantly go back to the lookout. If he tried to fly there, Cell could easily chase him down and kill him. This means that there is no Piccolo and no Tien for the rest of the Android arc. Does this make a major difference? Well, let's find out. In regular circumstances, If Piccolo dies, that means Kami also dies along with Nail, which means that the Dragon Balls would turn to stone. However, if Piccolo fused with Kami in a similar manner to what happened in the main timeline, which is what I assume happened, the Dragon Balls would need to be reactivated anyways. And here is where we bump into a problem. Because Goku doesn't know the instant transmission, that means Goku can't get to New Namek in a short amount of time to restore the Dragon Balls, which puts the Z Fighters in a big dilemma if they fail to defeat Cell. So I just wanted you guys to think of this before I explain how I think the Cell arc would play out. Now, there is really no reason for me to believe that the second form Cell fight couldn't turn out the same way that it did in the series. Now you could say that maybe Krillin would have deactivated Android 18 with the notion that Piccolo and Tien are already dead and he has no time to play around. However, if he deactivated her, Trunks or Vegeta would have easily have killed Cell and the series would end right there. But let me continue this video on the notion of what would have happened if the same events took place. Because it's possible for the Cell arc to have turned out the same way, Cell would have become perfect and would have hosted the Cell games assuming everything stayed constant. Now, there would be no Piccolo to go into the Hyperbolic Time Chamber since he's dead, and Goku wouldn't be able to get Dende in time for the Cell games assuming New Namek is very far away, but all of the other major events would have probably have turned out in the same way. As the Cell games begin, you have to note Gohan's mindset. Keep in mind that his father figure and trainer is dead, which means Gohan has even more animosity to Cell than he did originally. You can say the same thing about Goku because both Piccolo and Tien are dead. With that said, both Goku and Gohan would be very serious. Without instant transmission, Goku's fight with Cell would be very different because of the few instances in which Goku used the technique in the fight, such as the Warp Kamehameha, and as he used it to dodge Cell's Kamehameha. Regardless, since Cell didn't know the instant transmission either, Goku's fight with Cell would be very similar. My guess would be that Goku would have given up earlier and Gohan would have fought Cell much earlier. If you watch my video on why Goku didn't return into the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, you would learn more about why Goku didn't return because of the fact that he basically wanted Gohan to fight Cell all along. I'll leave that video in the description as well. Now, my whole take on this thing is that because Piccolo is dead, Gohan would have trained extra hard and would have been very serious for this fight. If he managed to turn Super Saiyan 2, which I think he would be able to do even without Android 16 and the Cell Juniors, as you can see in my old video that I'll leave below on Did Gohan Need 16's death to turn Super Saiyan 2, Cell would be killed the second Gohan got the chance. However, if Gohan toyed with Cell in the same manner, there would be serious trouble. If Cell attempted to self-destruct, Goku wouldn't know instant transmission to save them, which would mean everybody would be dead and Cell would regenerate and terrorize the universe. But to be honest, I think the most realistic scenario in all of these possible outcomes is that Gohan would have beaten Cell without playing around. I say this because I think Krillin could have easily have let his emotions take place for Android 18 to be absorbed by Cell, which would lead to everything at this point. Over everything else, the Z Fighters would simply use the Dragon Balls to wish Piccolo and Tien back by traveling to New Namek. At the same time, Goku would have brought back Dende as well to be the new Guardian of Earth. 7 years would pass and the Buu arc would take place. Goku wouldn't be a Super Saiyan 3 in my opinion based on the fact that his living body couldn't take as much stress. Vegeta's desire to be evil would be less in my opinion because Goku was on Earth and he could easily challenge him from time to time. The build-up of such rage in Vegeta wouldn't be as high, which means Goku and the rest of the Z Fighters would have destroyed Babidi and his henchmen before releasing Majin Buu, since Vegeta wouldn't have the desire to become Majin Vegeta. No instant transmission technique is necessary to change any of the early events in the Buu saga. Gohan would never need to train with the Supreme Kai, and with Goku around, Gohan would have probably have been much stronger anyways, which puts an even bigger stamp on the Buu saga from progressing from the early stages. However, it's important to note that the fusion would have never taken place for both the dance and the airings because of the fact that Goku would have never died to learn the fusion dance, and at the same time, the Z Fighters would have never met the Elder Supreme Kai, which would have given them the airings. Through analyzing this even further, I also noticed that even though it wouldn't affect the major plot of the Buu saga, Gohan killing Cell early would create major social differences. If Gohan killed Cell, that would mean the reporters would have known for sure that Mr. Satan wasn't the one who killed Cell, since they wouldn't have been distracted by the Kamehameha clash with Cell. Although this doesn't affect the major plot, this means that Gohan would never become Vidal's boyfriend and future husband, and Gohan wouldn't go to a public school because of the media getting into his family's business. As far as the tournament goes, we can safely assume that Vidal would still go on her own will, and the Z Fighters would go for sport. Especially Android 18 because she wants to make the millions of Zeni. As for Spopovich and Yamu, they would still go to the tournament to collect energy for Babidi from any of the Z Fighters, most likely Gohan, but the same events as I mentioned earlier would have still occurred. So guys, that has been my video for today. I've gotten several requests on what would have happened if Goku never learned instant transmission, so I think this video kills two birds with one stone because this video is including if he never learned instant transmission. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you think the series would have turned out if Goku had died when planet Namek had exploded. Please share your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, please subscribe to both video partners Thundershot and Blackenfist, as both channels will also be in the description. But most importantly, over everything else, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe, and remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys.